Hey, Phantomaniacs, welcome to the final review of this ThunderCats week, and probably the final ThunderCats week for a while, because I think it's going to be quite some time before we see more ThunderCats figures. It seems like the production and shipping are finally kind of back on schedule, so we got this glut of ThunderCats over the last couple of months here, but it's going to be a while before we get anything new. Today, we are looking at Tygra. I always liked I liked all the ThunderCats when I was a kid. Like, I can't even say that. I guess Panthro was probably my favorite, but man, Tygra was really cool too. So, you know, it's just such a great group of characters, great designs. Tygra looks awesome. Tygra, Lion-O's counsel and trusted lieutenant, is the oldest ThunderCat. Cool-headed and gifted with a scientific mind, he is master of the bolas, a whip-like weapon that can also make him invisible, and he has the power to put convincing illusions into the minds of others. All right, first of all, let's talk about the spacing on this first line here. What are we doing with this? Like, seriously? Come on. This is terrible. Also, something that I had not thought about, that brings up the possibility of them doing an invisible Tygra figure, like just completely clear. But I'm still waiting on the spirit of Jaga. Like, that's because I did not buy a Jaga because I don't want just a regular old Jaga. I want the spirit of Jaga. And I can't believe Super 7 hasn't gotten to that yet. After their glow-in-the-dark Mumra, which really kind of doesn't even have a place in the mythology. Don't get me wrong, I got it because I love glow-in-the-dark figures, but it was just a weird one. All right. Very excited about Tygra. Oh, wow. Okay. This is great. So, all right, let's get our hands out of here. I'm going to try to be extra super careful because as much as my new workbench provides lots and lots of space, I did lose an entire Sword of Omens the other day because, these stupid plastic trays that I don't like provided just enough propulsion for that thing to go flying behind the workbench and be lost until I decide I want to move the workbench, which probably means forever. Interesting. I'm going to have some things to say about this version of the whip. And we've got a plastic version. Wow. This is convoluted. Here we go. Oh, man. Okay. I gotta say, I feel like Super 7 kind of went for it with the versions of Tygra's whip. I'm liking it. All right. Tygra. Gosh. Okay, so I did not have a lot of ThunderCats figures when I was a kid. They just were, my parents were, you're a G.I. Joe guy. Every once in a while, we'll get you something a little extra. But I was mainly G.I. Joe at the time the ThunderCats were out, so I didn't have a lot, but I did have a Tygra figure. And this is very, nostalgic, holding this figure, looking at these colors. This is great. I really like this guy. Okay, so let's take a look. Portrait looks absolutely perfect to me. He's got the little deals under his eyes there. The eye paint looks great. Eyebrows look great. That hair. Really did a fantastic job with that portrait. And then everything else. Look, he's got his sort of one shoulder sleeve going on here. And that is actually sculpt. That's not just paint. I don't love that sticking through, but it's mostly concealed. And I get it. I understand why things are like that. I understand why this ring could not have been the same color as this, because it's in the same tool as these parts and these parts. Like, that's why these things are this way. And when they were looking at it, it just was not worth painting, and I get it. But that kind of stuff will always bother me at least a little bit. But otherwise, his proportions are fantastic. He's a little squattier. He probably shares Panthro's body. He's a little squattier than Lion-O. Looks really thick and tough. I like it. He's got the bicep swivel and appears to have, yeah, he's also got, it's a little tough to operate because of this nub. Ugh. I don't like that. So, oh, that is ugly. So what I'm looking at is his sleeve. You know, it's a short sleeve essentially. So we have, gosh, that is just, that's ugly. And that's really all I can say about it. Otherwise, I love this. This is Sculpt right here, the bottom of this sleeve. You can see where the paint didn't quite make it down here. We've got some orange plastic sticking through. Not a huge deal. As always, get rid of cut joints at the waist. They're not good. Nobody likes them. His leggings, or his, whatever you would call his footwear situation here, sculpted, not just painted on. This is actual sculpt right here. Looks really good. I love the little sort of touches of shading that are just kind of in different spots around the figure. It's not overdone. Like some of the Masters of the Universe classics, I felt like the shading was a bit too much. Here, they just kind of hit it in a few places. And it really works with the way Super 7 applies that. Well, I say it really works, except for when they get one leg and not the other leg. Oof. Come on. Again, look at that heel, too. Just missing paint on the heel. Oh, gosh. So I mentioned in either yesterday or the day before review that I'd already pulled the slip cover off these guys to look at them in the box and make sure there were no glaring errors, so I would know if I had to return them, because I knew it was going to be a little while before I reviewed them. I really don't want to return this guy, but at the same time, like, that's gross. And here's where I'm at. Returning, now I got this from Big Bad Toy Store, who are very good about returns and are pretty fast on turnaround, as opposed to Super 7, who took a month to send me my replacements. But just the hassle of the return, I'm going to have to think about whether this that I'm barely, oh gosh, this is so bad though. Yeah, I think he's going to have to go back. That's just going to bother me. This looks terrible. All right, so anyway, let's continue on with the figure. We've got a little rotation there. Oh gosh, this is so weirdly designed where it's like they updated the articulation, but they kept the old articulation. Like, it's so odd to have the bicep swivel and the elbow swivel, and to have the knee swivel and the calf swivel. What a bizarre set of figures this is. All right, so Tygra looks like Tygra. We'll move on from these little defects. And I will say, his hands are in there a lot more snugly than, or his hands fit more snug. Oh gosh, do we have another paint blot? Oh gosh, this one's a mess, you guys. Yeah, this is definitely going back. And I hate it. I hate returning this stuff. It just bothers me, but with that and this and then just the missing paint hit right here, he's got to go back. Ugh. All right, well, let's continue with the review because you can still get the idea of the figure. We have Angry Face. Angry Face looks great. The teeth look great. He's got his sort of furrowed brow sculpt going on there. Did a really nice job on this one. We have his whip collapsed down into the handle. Very simple, but looks like it's supposed to look. The alternate hands, where we have the sort of claw openish hands, and then we have the alternate C-grips with the up and down rather than the left to right. And then finally we've got the two different versions of the whip Now, I'm a little torn on this one. Let's look at the other one first. This is the one, if you're putting it on the shelf, this is what's going on the shelf. This is rigid plastic. I mean, it's a little flexible, but it's rigid plastic that's going to keep this shape. So it is the Tygra getting ready to whip you pose of the whip. It looks awesome. The sculpt and the paint are great. They've done a fantastic job with this piece. Very happy with it. I like that we've got this option. And then we've got the one that I would be complaining about not having if we didn't have it, but the execution is just sorry, you guys. Are you kidding me with this? You tied a knot in the string. Come on. Super 7, that's terrible. That just looks like garbage. This is, I would expect better than this from a retail toy that I bought at Walmart. Like, this is no good. You know, fold that over and heat seal it or something. Like, this is just, you can't tie a knot in. I think these were $45 at the time I bought them. You can't tie a knot in a $45 collector toy. The length of the string is fantastic. The look, you know, aside from these stupid knots, it's awesome. Great concept. All it needed, like, good gosh, I mean, even Beastman, like the original Beastman, the handle was hollow and the knot was inside the handle. Like, you guys, engineer this stuff. This looks like something that somebody made, like, in 5 minutes. Like, oh, I'd really rather have a string whip for Tygra. And they did this. That's terrible. Poof! This is one of the more negative reviews I think I've done. Some of the commenters, I'm sure, will be delighted. So, look, if this figure didn't have the errors on it, the paint errors on it that it has, I'd be extremely happy with it. Execution is great. I think on the shelf, I think I'm sticking with the neutral head on the shelf. The hands are great. You know, this is all, everything, the posed static, the posed static whip, very cool. This thing is just, could have been cool, but is just lame. So, in concept, the figure's very cool, and I'm excited to have one that doesn't have errors all over it. But in execution, leaves a lot to be desired. So, if I had known, I would not have ended ThunderCats week this way. I probably should have ended with Mum-Ra, but I was so intent on having Mummy Monday because it's dumb and funny. So anyway, there you go. There's Tygra. Going to be shipping him back to Big Bad and hopefully getting one in a little better condition. Thanks for watching, you guys. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things. Come back next week for more reviews of brand new toys. Ho! Get out of here. I'm sending you back. Oh.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.